Hey guys, how y'all doing? This is the KLA Clyde the Wanderer. Yo, August 11th. It was like the date of hip hop was born, and I wanted to do something. So I have a artist. She's not just an artist, but she's like a jack of all trades. She's a digital editor. I mean, a digital producer. I'm sorry about that. An
Oh, you
editor.
good?
Yeah, and she's a pro wrestler, and she's gonna tell her story, and I hope you guys are interested and want to put things in the comments and all that stuff. If not, whatever. But I introduce you to Emma Lee. How you doing?
I'm staying positive. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm trying to stay positive always,
One number one
always.
job. All right.
No
Yeah.
doubt, no doubt, no doubt. You get a little crazy, especially in New York City. All the crazies. Yeah, it's hot. Yeah,
Yeah. You know what they say.
yeah,
It's hot outside. Yeah.
yeah. And that's how it is right now too, as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I seen your Instagram, and I was a bit fascinated. How your poetry and stuff, and I mean, you have like this. You kind of remind me of the rappers like in the '90s, like Lauryn Hill or in Bahamadia,
Yeah.
and yeah, you kind of you remind me of that, and even the new ones a bit. What's her name? Rhapsody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I seen her. Matter of fact, I seen her like when I was I work at the library, and
Oh wow.
yeah, and they doing like a Jay-Z exhibit. They got it
Oh
in
yeah.
Brooklyn.
Yes. Yes. I seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
every day it's flooded with people.
Right.
And not
Right.
yeah, and not that long ago they had a couple of months ago they had like a philosophy of hip hop, and
Mm.
Rap City was there, and she was telling her story and stuff, like she was telling like how she got men followers supporting her and stuff, and just other stuff. I was just in and out. It was a lot of people, but I was listening to what she was saying. She was like talking about how she was working with Kendrick Lamar, and
Ninth
other
Wonder.
people that supported. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But how did you like? Why don't you like take us back to your backstory? Like, who you from? Who are you, and where you was born or raised, and how you got influenced by hip hop? And
Yeah. Sure. So I was born in Uganda. It's a small landlocked country in East Africa, like East Central Africa. And we came to me, my mother, and my father at the time. We came to America when I was like 2 years old. I was still a little baby. And the first place we touched down was Harlem, New York City. And that might have been like 1990. Um, so that was, for those who don't know, like 1990 New York City and Harlem specifically. Like that's a wild time. Um, it's it's like three different types of New Yorks ago, and that's like post crack era, that's pre gentrification, it's a whole other time. And but the silver lining on that is that we came right into the hood. It wasn't even like we dropped right into the hood. At first, it was student housing for my father because he was studying at the time. But as soon as our time with student housing was up, we were right on, like, when Jay-Z raps about the McDonald's on 145th Street, like I was right in that neighborhood. I
mm,
walk by it a lot of times too. The same thing, Broadway, Riverside. Um, so like I was saying, the silver lining of all of that is it's so colorful, it's so full of sounds, it's so full of all different types of people, all different types of music, all different types of culture everywhere. And that was a big influence on me. um, and hip hop was a huge part of that overwhelming influence, just on stimulation of being here. And it was around, I was listening, my mother and father were not hip hop fans at the time. So me getting into it was like when I first saw Video Music Box, and people blasting it out their cars, and it coming through hallways, and just hearing it in my hood. But it didn't like grab me like that. I didn't have like my moment until
Yeah.
the fifth grade, when I had a whole bunch of like guy friends, and I was wondering where they was at, and I was looking for them, and I found them like there was an empty classroom, but they had the door closed. And some I could hear something, but I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what are they doing? And I kind of peeked through the door, and somebody was like, come in, shh, close the door, close the door. And I was like, what are y'all doing? They was like, shh. And I looked up, and they was in a cipher, spitting, having a cipher.
Yeah.
And the first time I had ever seen, particularly my friends rapping, and beatboxing, but like rapping, for real rapping. And I know some people wonder, like, what are fifth graders going to be rapping about? Like, that's serious. Like, what bars are they going to? You'd be surprised. You'd be very
Yeah.
surprised. And I had, so just to paint the picture, so I walk in, I see my friends, all these guys, and they're in this huddle, they're having a cipher, and they're spitting. Like, there's like a little mini Nas spitting, then there's like a little mini Slick Rick spitting, then there's like a little mini Biz Marquee spitting, then there's like, it's all, all different types of styles in packaged in these little boys, all spitting like serious bars for fifth graders. But about life, about their clothes, whatever their personality was. We all had the girl, the one of my friends, he was like, everybody knew he was the one who the girls always liked. So he's spitting about girls and being fly. One of them always had new sneakers every week. So he's talking about how he's fresher than everybody else, and then one was just a poet. So he's just spitting like mind blowing shit. Um, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. And then I'm like listening, and I'm being moved, and I'm feeling it. And then I just had this thought. And I heard Merce the Big Body Ben say this before, and it is totally my MO. I just had this thought. I was like, yo, I could do this. In fact, I could do it better than them. Watch, I'm about to do it. And I scooted my way through and got to the front, and because I was who I was, that was like, I made my way, I made my claim. And then right before the next person went, I took a deep breath, and I spit like 2 bars just off the dome, because I wrote poetry and short stories and stuff, but I never rapped, so I didn't have anything prepared. So I just spit something off the dome, and 2 bars in, everybody was like, oh, and it was going crazy. And I was just like, whoa. Even though it was a little insulting, like, damn, y'all didn't even think I could put 2 bars together. Like, in my mind, it was so simple, but they were like blown away. And I caught the bug right there. I was like, yo, this is fire. And then from then on, me and 2 of the guys who were in that cipher started a little rap group, and we would meet up and write bars and come up with routines. And actually, one of them, um, Brandon Curse, his name was Flawless at the time. He was like probably reputed as like the nicest out of everybody like in this whole school. And he got me very serious about like really crafting and writing bars and rhymes, and doing it a certain way. And then the other one was George Mims the third. I'm sorry for saying y'all governments, but I think his alias is G Mims, but he's actually DJ Red Alert's stepson. So he was also plugged into like the hip hop culture and community and like legacy in a way that at the time I couldn't have known how deep that was at the time. But that was, obviously crazy deep for those who know who DJ Red Alert is. Legendary DJ. So yeah, we would get together and rhyme and try to and come up with names and stuff like that and do that. And it didn't pan out, but it was like it stuck with me ever since. and I kept performing. I joined a performing arts group out of Harlem when I was about 12. It's still going on. It's called Impact Repertory Theater, and it's musical theater, but it's founded and based in Harlem, founded by Black Panthers and Black arts movement activists. So we're talking about life as we see it as Black and brown kids and youth and minorities, and being in the hood, and political education and global awareness and leadership and community service. And then you see our show, and it's monologues and theatrical pieces based on that, but then it's singing, it's acting, it's rapping, it's dancing, all in one thing. And I did that from 12 years old. Ooh, that was like 13 years of my life. I did that, 50 shows a year, every year, 7 hours of rehearsals every Saturday, sometimes weekday rehearsals. And then I became company captain. So I had creative meetings and was helping out with workshops, and point person when we went to do shows. So I kept at it, and I finally transitioned out of being in that group and being in choirs and other groups, and started the journey of being a solo artist only about like 2 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when I just released like a song to just finally do it. And then the pandemic happened. So, but yeah. So
So how old are you? Like, if you don't mind me asking, like you're 30 or?
yeah, I'm like 30, 34, I would say. I don't
Oh,
I don't think
yeah.
about it that much. And
Nah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm older than you. I'm 47.
mhm.
That's why we're like an opposite. Like we're similar. You know, my peoples, they're from Liberia, west part of
Oh, okay.
Africa.
Nice.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was born in Manhattan, St. Vincent Hospital, but I was
Oh,
raised in Brooklyn.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
the one
you
on
know,
14 that was on 14th Street?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I was born there. Used to go to the hospital like every time I check up. I would go over there. Yeah, yeah. Majority of the times, I was in Brooklyn. All throughout, I was an '80s kid.
Mhm.
I started listening to hip hop, Lottie Dottie, Slick Rick, and Doggy Fresh and stuff. I was like a baby crawling with hip hop, really. And
Yeah.
then got into I would say trouble like when I was young, and ran away from home and stuff. Went to the group home, and that's when I started listening to hip hop. Like the people like more influenced by it, like the boys and all that stuff.
Okay.
They would be rapping and stuff like that. I started listening to Wu Tang, and you
Mhm.
know, yeah, and just even in high school, they would have like the ciphers and stuff, and I'm
Mhm.
like, almost kind of make me wanna like write a rhyme and stuff, and I did my first rhyme and stuff, and try to
Nice.
be add the rapper, had the little rapper dream and stuff, but I wasn't a rapper like that. I think it just gave me something to do. That was
Mhm.
it, because it was more like a creative thing. I like being creative for myself, like
Yes.
almost entertain myself. So
Mhm.
that was basically where that came from. Like I just always had creativity. Like I would kind of absorb that. Like just even when I was younger, I used to watch cartoons, and I would
Yes.
always want to do animation and all that stuff. So
Hmm.
anything creative, it just catches my eye. So it's yeah. So you was like you like from Harlem and stuff, and it's very interesting.
Yeah.
You have a guest, all the rage George Page. Hey, bro. He also do content on female bodybuilders and women at Russell and stuff like that. Is she
Yeah.
flexing for you, George? Or who's the love piece of chocolate?
Listen, I see, ever since I subscribed to your channel, I see when you post like the YouTube posts that come up of like different women, in
Yeah.
the gym and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I gotta keep going. I'm a rookie in this, man. I gotta keep going, man. It's cool though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that comes along, when I was a kid, when I was like a teenager, and I would see like the bodybuilders in the newsstands, and I wanted to look like that also. But I would do calisthenics. I never had the opportunity to go to the gym. Only time I went to the gym was from a friend, and he would take me, but he couldn't always like go because he owed a lot of debts, and it's cost a lot to use the equipment in the gym. So mostly I would do like yoga and
Yeah,
like in the park, and do push-ups, pull-ups, and all that stuff.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
There's so much you
yeah.
can go to. Like that was me for a long time. I was like not a gym person at all. I just wasn't vibing with it, and I did a lot of at-home workouts before that was a thing. And some people like had like prison cell workouts and stuff like that. But I played a lot of sports, but I was playing tackle football. I think that was around 12, 13 as well. I started doing that, and that's when I got even more into fitness. But I played tackle football and then segued into boxing for a little
Mm.
bit when I lived on the West Coast. And um, when I was doing that, that was also when I'm likewise to you, like I was kind of in trouble at the time. And it just so happened that I had to do some community service instead of like a juvenile delinquent situation. Don't judge me. No, go ahead, judge me. I don't care.
Nah.
So they gave me the list of it was such a miserable time in my life. That's why I'm so thankful for all the creative things I'm into, and people understand. Like they ask me like, why are you so into so many things? And I'm like, um, it's because I was looking for reasons. I was looking for reasons to live, reasons to still be here, reasons to feel something and to understand myself in the world a little bit better so that I could like try and have a good time because I had so many miserable years. So at that time, I'm sitting there with the list of community service that I have to do for this stupid situation I got myself in. And on like the third or fourth thing on the list was a boxing gym. And I thought it was a typo or like somebody messed up and left it on there because I was like, I know they're not gonna let me do it at a boxing gym. Like that's a gift. Like I don't think they know what they're doing. Let me sign up before somebody realized what they did. And I signed up, and it was in Chico, California. It was called Chico Boxing for Fitness, and it was ran ironically. Every time you leave New York, you always find New Yorkers. We are everywhere because that gym
Yeah.
ran by a Puerto Rican from Brooklyn. Of all
Mm.
the places, of all the people, whose name was Joe Rodriguez, and it was a family-owned business. Him and his son, and they his son was like my immediate person, so like I reported to him and stuff, and they were tough on me at first, and put me through my paces, and I was cleaning up the gym, I was mopping up everything, whatever. But after a while, I was like, I would really love to like to train and like do stuff, and they would have classes, and they had a lot of kids in there too. Um, and after a while, they let me start training, and then I would just start coming and knocking out my work in 2, 3 hours, and then like train for 3, 4 hours because I loved it because it was giving me
Yeah.
like breath and air and life. And then the owner Joe, he started training me like personally. So like he would put the mitts on and one-on-one with me and take me through stuff and say, okay, do this. And that was really, really encouraging. He was so sweet to me. He really was. Um, and at that same gym, if for those who are boxing fans, her name is Ava Knight. I think it's Ava Knight Salika is her married name now. But she was training there when she was still an amateur, going to transition to be a pro. And they were like, they would train her and then they would pack up everything and go to Vegas. And it was very inspiring to see her train, but also to see like a team of people who are all on the same page about like her success and getting her to the pro level and what her health and wellness and and improvement and advancement is about. And she's so, not only is she so focused and so talented, but so graceful, such a lady, such a disciplined young person with integrity. Like, that was very inspiring for me to see. Fast forward, she's like a 7-time world champion. She's had like all the belts. And I think she's training with, or she's doing something in the Mayweather camp now. Like, she stays in Vegas now, doing stuff with Mayweather. So I was always around, or I should say, like, I keep my eyes open for inspiration like that. And if it's present, like, I don't take it for granted, because, like I said, I was looking for reasons to stay alive. And I say that, I don't say that just for no reason. But I recently just finished writing my first book, and it's about like suicide prevention and hip hop
Mm.
culture, like my journey. And I know there's a lot of people who, it's hard every day to get up and to smile and deal with people and to keep going. And I was very there for a long time. And so hip hop, music, the arts, pro wrestling, being an athletic person, being chocolate, as my brother so eloquently commented, um, learning more about myself and connecting with people and like spirits, like good energies like that. That's what keeps me going. And I hope to, not I hope to, I that's what I'm here still doing, is like to spread that vibe and that good energy to people, especially those who need it, but people who enjoy that.
How do you see like it's funny you say positivity, but like with hip hop, like, but how do you see it like now with the transition and like because there's not too many women that's out there like you that
Mm,
kind of like usually they it's not me condescending, but it's a
no,
lot. Like dudes, they talking about like, or you talking about shooting, bang bang, and all that. I mean, they was talking about it in my day too.
yeah.
Like I would say NWA, they kind of started it with the nigga and all that stuff. That's how that's how the influence came in. But then it almost like slowly it just kind of degenerated into now like do you see like hip hop like even like 10 or 20 years from now or
Well, God willing, I'll still be in it, God willing, and still
right.
doing my thing with it. So it'll be better from me being in it. I'll say that, and I say that without ego, just with my hopefulness and willfulness in being a highest good and a freest will of all things. There's a big school of thought about that schism of when the culture, like, not just went more commercial and on its way to becoming like the number one music genre in the country and the number one like cultural influence in the world, but also like losing its way or being compromised, or just a mixing in of all these other energies that weren't there in the establishment of it, at the ground level. Black Dot, who wrote the book Hip Hop Decoded, he calls the that establishment point of hip hop, he calls it the chaos realm, where like there wasn't any rules yet, it wasn't like corporate sponsors yet, it was still just us creating for us by us and trading imaginations and making shit. Even through the Rakim first gold, I call that the first wave of golden era. Even through that, I think there's a lot of validity to that thought about the NWA schism. And I have a project coming up where I wrote a song called Like It's 93, and it talks about like, I feel like 1993 was the last, because a lot of people say NWA and then 1992. I wrote the song about 1993 being like this point of like, this is where we have the best and worst of everything, and nothing will be the same after this. um i'm very I'm very hopeful, because I'll tell you this, for example, I was watching the hip hop 50th anniversary that happened at Yankee Stadium. Amazing, amazing. Like, what was that? Like 8 hours of back to back to back to back to back hip hop of like all the styles, pretty much, debatably, all this, debatably, almost all the major styles of hip hop represented, and or coasts and locations or regional sounds. Um, Sidebar, it was really great to see like Grandmaster Caz coming out to rap his verse with Sugar Hill Gang. For those who don't know, like that is such a huge like justice coming together, because he was never credited. It's a whole story, but moments like that was just like, oh, this is good. I was worried if this wasn't going to be good, but okay, this is good. This is somebody was thinking. But I bring up the hip hop 50th show because so they had a segment in there for women in hip hop, which there's another school of thought of like it's always women in hip hop. Let's celebrate them as a group and then go back to ignoring them again. That's a whole other school of thought. But so we had this section right from women in hip hop, and it was Kim, Trina, and Remy, and then they brought out Scarlett and I think Lola Brooke as well. um Dope to see all of them. And on the other side, on the Rock the Bell side, they had Queen. It was Queen Latifah's set, and she brought out Moni Love, um MC Light, Yo Yo. I can't remember the sister's name from Zayn. And Remy was there too. So we had like, a good group. But like when I was watching the hip hop 50th, so I'm watching Kim, I'm watching Trina, I'm watching Rem, and Rem is doing Conceited, and she's doing her hit song. So she's not getting like, it's not like grimy bar Remy, for those who know about that. Like she's not like battle rap Remy. It's hip hop star Remy. But I say that to say hip hop star Remy and Kim and Trina gives you like one sip of what women in hip hop is about. We're just getting a taste. It's just a whiff. So I was watching, and Scarlett comes out, she does her thing, which is dope and monstrous, and Lola Brooke comes out her thing, which is dope and mad cool, and voice got that vocal conviction like Tupac, which is super dope. But I was just like, damn, me personally, I was like, damn, this is cool, but like I'm not seeing nobody like me. And it makes me feel like it can make you question at times. Sorry if you hear a train in the background. It can make
Sorry.
me it can make me question at times, like, do people want to hear from an artist like me, a woman like me, a person like me? Um, is my energy welcome like that? Um, there's so many people who talk about how boom bap is played out or nobody wants to hear lyrical rap or whatever. But there's a whole bunch of people who do, and who do that music in a very fresh way and in a new way, which is super dope. And new samples, new instrumentation, new approaches, new slang, new references, new points of view. So it doesn't have to be played out. So I was like just encouraging myself. I have to have this conversation with myself every once in a while because, like you said, like whenever you're different in any situation, you have like the mental stamina you have to have is so important because the challenge to be the best of who you are and the truth of who you are. It is so tempting day in and day out to kill a little bit of yourself for any given situation or person or conversation, or to make something a little bit more comfortable for the next person or place or situation, or to fit in and blend in just a little bit more so you don't have to feel uncomfortable because you're obviously standing out or you're obviously not this or that. And to be that kind of artist that's a big challenge. To stand true in that is a big challenge at times. But I tell you what, so I'm watching and I'm just being encouraged and I'm seeing my people I admire, and then Nas comes out and he's rocking and I'm like, damn, look at Nas. This is great. Wow. Nas is 50, hip hop's 50. He's got this dope set. Mass Appeal ran this, so it's his company. Oh, got the money, got the bag, got the economics right. Yankee Stadium, like this is great. And then Lauryn Hill comes out. And Lauren Hill does her set and does, If I Ruled the World with Nas, but she does her set and dips into Fuji stuff and dips into her miseducation stuff and comes out spitting something not, it's not unplugged, but it's not miseducation, Lauren. It's Miss Hill stuff.
Yeah.
And I took a deep breath. And it's like she reminded me, just by being in that show and showing up the way she did, she reminded me that it is exactly right to be who I am. It is exactly right to be the lyrical me. It is exactly right to want to do the music I want to do. It is exactly right to have the positive energy I have and to want to do something different in hip hop and in music and in pro wrestling and in media and production and in business. It is exactly right for me to be this different because it's necessary, it's needed, and it's valuable, and it's offering something that nobody else can offer like me. And I feel like that's the case with everybody in almost every situation in life or whatever field you're in. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's just you in your community, or you in like the people that come in contact with you. Like, you really don't, I think we all take for granted how much influence we all have on each other. But yeah, so I just say all that to say, like, when Lauren came out, she just reminded me, like, to keep doing what I'm doing and to keep going, because what I have to offer hip hop and the world at large is super dope and super special, and it needs to be different because we need different right now.
You know what? I'm gonna play a little like clips of you rapping. You know,
Okay.
I took it from. Yeah, I took. It's not the whole thing. Unfortunately, I'm on my phone. I can't. It's not. I don't. My computer. It sucks right
No
now
worries.
with the StreamYard. But I could
Beyond
see.
Brandon and tight-fisted for
Oh,
backhanding. The Kirk Franklin of Fred Hampton to Fred Hammond. The George Clinton and Ty Tribbett to rap precision. The mad villain on treadmill, and you know my mission. The dry cleaner, the slack creaser, the post reader. The night rider, the stealth bomber, the rogue leader.
I'm a dope girl. I do dope things. Make them breathe things. They hold motif.
I don't have to remember who did me wrong, yo, my senses remind me. Like felons who bonded, but the census defines them. For taxes, chanting Black Lives Matter, need us to really practice.
Yo, is this David and Goliath or Dr. Sabian, Big Pharma? Daughter of a murdered preacher's son, this is God's karma. Patrice remembers ghost reincarnate, pictures me. Cross queen, you on the wrong side of the history. Too many ain't got...
Hey, yo, hip hop.
Emma Lee MC. Wise and worthy, young and restless, know my artist fetish. One life to live, and I'm Oscar winning for playing precious. Behind imbalanced adolescents, trauma bonded fellas. Baby girls are centerfolds in the broken hearted fellas.
Yeah.
Come on.
Future analog rhymes, digital braille editions. Feel my bullet points, learn from repetition. Like an addict, asthmatic, off bad cell division. I'm giving them talks to promote better decisions. So get high, use my rhyme.
Lapis lazuli pimp, ebony ankles, high heels supporting shifts. You know I balance the extremes like it's BMX. Underwhelmed at all the sensuality and sex. Same time I heard Yo-Yo's Black Pearl too late.
Hey.
yeah, I got another one, but I'll hold on to it. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Like that was pretty dope. Like, yeah, I was listening to that. Yeah, like there's certain things you were saying. It's like I can't even. I gotta go back and listen to it again. But
Thank you.
like when you doing that, like what what comes to your mind like writing that, like certain things, like like I would say like the first clip I put, like you were saying some words, like it was really it was like poetic. Like you don't, I don't see that in other rappers like today. Like only people that I would say like it is like Rhapsody, and she's not there like that. Like she's not out there like that, like Cardi B, or like more. You see it of Little Kim wannabes, like in this era, like or Trina's, like in this era, more than the MC Light. I mean, have you like was MC Light or I know you said Lauryn Hill, like you most did you listen to Lauryn Hill a lot or
I listen
like
to all of them a lot, everybody a lot. I
yeah,
gravitated towards like who did I replay more? Definitely Lauren. Um, definitely battle rap. Definitely people like Pharoah Monch. People like definitely
yeah,
Rakim. Um, I had a whole Immortal Technique phase. Big DMX fan. Big Tupac head. I had his poetry book. Like I used to keep the Rose That Grew from Concrete poetry book like in my bag. I carried it everywhere. Um, Schoolie D is fire.
yeah. I
KRS.
remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to KRS like that, but like over the years, I started listening to like some of the stuff he was saying and stuff. It's I
Yeah.
like his stuff a bit. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Like I said, I was a battle rap head for a while, so a lot of battle rappers kind of also because again I started in the cipher, so I was always drawn to energy first. And that's why it's also so easy for me to listen to a Trina, to a Kim, Kim's got a deep catalog, by the way. Um,
yeah.
but it's easy for me to listen to Trina's and like I love like Texas as a sound, like as the regional sounds of Texas. I love New Orleans sounds. I love Chicago. It's so easy for me to dip into that other subgenres and regional sounds because I'm attracted to energy first, and I'm a music head as well, almost first as well. So I'm also listening for like musicality and style and delivery and how are you saying what you're saying. But I am definitely listening to what it is you are saying, and those who say it with cleverness and wit and intelligence or higher mindedness or just in the way like somebody like Dave Chappelle, the way he does comedy, like there's a way he's doing it that's drawing us in and making us think about things, but we're laughing and having a great time. There's MCs who do that, and I'm really drawn to like that ability and that talent, and you can find that anywhere. So yeah, definitely listen to all those people. And yeah, there it's been weird to, for lack of a better word, how we've gotten like so many of the same type of artists come out in the last decade or so. Um, though there's so many dope artists out, period. It's just it's almost there's a whole argument about that. It's so saturated, and that's part of like people who listen to music, so much comes out. It's like you don't even have time to listen to people's new stuff because there's always new stuff, and there's everybody's spinning, everybody's rapping, everybody's singing. But I know also in my
Are
arts.
you?
Okay.
No, I was just want to ask like how do you feel about like the rappers dying? Because I was listening, I was paying attention to this rapper. His name was Lil Loaded, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like he had a little catchy song. I'm not gonna lie, "Baby on the Block, Baby on the Block." And I heard that his death was tragic. I think he killed his friend by accident, and I think there's a lot of things that he committed suicide and stuff like that. This was like I think like 2 years ago.
Right.
I was just listening to that. I was like, wow. But it's a lot of them. They're dying. A lot of them like um
Yes.
triple X Tacion, and then it's your young dudes. It's like they not even like they like they just hit like what 21 or not even before 21. So it's you just wonder.
You do, and I'm a pull up. I'm not supposed to do this. Don't tell nobody I did this, y'all. But I'm gonna pull up. They haven't announced my book yet. Like I'm with a publisher and everything. Shout out Wahia Clark Publishing and Asante Works PR. So they haven't announced my book yet or the book title. So I can only say, that it's about, you know, a little bit of my journey in hip hop and hip hop culture and suicide prevention and mental health awareness. But I will say, like, on that note, in the back of the book, I have an in memory of section And just to read off a couple names, like you said, Lil Loaded. But I have Twitch here, who y'all know was on the Ellen Show, Robin Williams. But just on rap, Capital C's, Lil Loaded, Freddie E, K.O. Red, Ricky Rick, E. Dot Baby,
Mm.
R5 Homicide, Disco D. So many names. I have so many names here, as well as some wrestlers and
What and what's this like a statistics of all the rappers that passed away?
these are people who took their lives, their own
Yeah,
lives.
yeah.
And so that I didn't know if you would have told me I was gonna become, well, I would have believed you if you said, yeah, you're gonna be a mental health advocate. But I didn't know that I was gonna take up suicide prevention and awareness and survivorship as like a cause or something I'm concerned about, or something that I think deserves care and attention. Um, but what I've also learned is like there's those people, but there's also those like whoever that person is or was. There's also a whole family of people that are grieving that loss, and also dealing with the fact that maybe they had no idea that that person was that serious about taking their own lives or would have ever done it, and now are suddenly faced with that as a thing. And it's obviously sensitive because it's been taboo, but also because it challenges how a lot of people feel and believe about spirituality and God and mortality. But I feel like it's because we've had especially so many deaths in hip hop, and especially because there's so many legends who aren't making it past 50,
Right.
55, definitely not 60. So
Yeah.
many of health issues,
Right.
and low quality of life, and sure there are some things that um, can't be prevented, or like are deeper than how somebody takes care of themselves. Like there's just some people who just didn't have the money to take that care, but there's just a lot of us who are in sick environments, or haven't had the opportunity to heal from a lot of traumas that we went through as children, or teenagers, or young adults, or as adults. And as we all seen from the pandemic, like it really doesn't take much for stress to start affecting you. And when we're all disconnected and it's being encouraged for us to be even more disconnected, that's not a good recipe for quality of life and for health overall. And add that to the statistics we already have as Black men and women, like that's not a good recipe. So I want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem, and not part of the silence about it either.
Yeah. We got a lot of you got a lot of comments. You got all the rage George Page, your fine sister. Just keep going at your speed and time. He's talking about working out and stuff. All and he says Ava fights in MMA now.
Oh, fire!
Yeah.
And
You got I don't know. Emma look at him. Look have I don't know that I can't do better, man. Rolando G. Emma, you are bringing the true MC skills back to females where they used to be like Roxanne Chantel.
hey, I
You
love
ever
her.
heard? You ever heard her songs or anything like that?
Oh, I'm a
Freestyle or
Roxanne Shante fan. Yeah. Oh, where do I begin with her? Yeah, I love her and I listen to her stuff. And she's another one. Same type of energy, like started out like just spitting raw in the ciphers. Her whole situation of what was that, 89? I can't remember the year, but the battle for world supremacy situation where she basically beat 10 other guys in this cipher battle competition and got to the final round. But the judges at the time were concerned that with hip hop being so new and just getting into that step into commercial mainstream opportunity, that it wouldn't be a good look for the world's best rapper to be a little girl. So
yeah,
they lose. And that fucking sucks, man. But she she got everybody, Big Daddy Kane, Biz Markie, like everybody said she was holding her own. She was always nice with it. She was top of her game every time. And I just wish that didn't happen with her. And I wish her, like, I wish KRS didn't say that line in the Bridge Is Over. That kind of destroyed a little bit too. Like, but to me, she is absolutely a groundbreaking pioneer in this. She's an energy that made way for battle culture, and I think that's
Right.
not enough. Um, I love her.
Yeah. Like, I want to transition a little bit. You with the piggyback on the mental health. So you're like a mental advocate. Like, how do you like help others of trying to stay mental healthy? If I could ask you that question.
Sure. Well, first, like I would tell anybody, you got to help yourself first. You cannot help anybody until you're good and like have a grip on your coping mechanisms and like what I like to call your toolbox. You got to have a ready toolbox because for those of us especially who have been through um like traumas, like clinical traumas, sexual violence and assaults, some type of neglect and abandonment as children, world events and tragedies where things happen. If there was a shootout and you had to run for your life or hide from bullets, all types of things. People who come from countries where war is a normal thing and like civil violence, that's kind of an oxymoron, but you know what I mean. When there's like conflicts
Yeah.
that are happening on the ground in the streets, you know, people who deal with anything of these natures. Um, Even with you not realizing, things get kind of stashed away in the back of your mind, in your body, in your muscles, in your bones. And you have to kind of take care of yourself with that. Uh, I can't say that therapy is for everybody because it really
Right.
depends on, you have to get a therapist who you actually vibe with and who you can really speak to and who can listen to you from a point of view that is resonant. Um, I know a lot of people, like I'm one of those people who had bad experiences with therapy and then just kind of left it alone completely. But when you meet, I had like a really good experience with one, or one or two actually, and that can change kind of everything. Um, so getting something that's affordable and or a program where you can kind of get that at a low cost or no cost, and then people who you can actually vibe with and you don't feel judged just talking to them, because if you do, it'll never work anyway. um, that's good, and at least it's getting better. It's still a way to go, but it's getting better as far as like, I know this company that was founded by a black woman. It's called Sad Girls Club, and I know that they partnered with different like makeup and beauty care brands so that people can, when they buy makeup and stuff, they can donate free therapy to people who need it. So stuff like that is happening, and better help and affordable stuff is happening. So that's good. But to answer your question as well, I was like I said, I was in that youth program for like 13 years, and I became like junior staff and company captain, and you know, made my transition into being a big sis. And part of that meant, like, for me, being there when young people came to me with questions and situations about things that was going on in their life. And due to that, I heard so many so many wild stories. I'm sorry, it's not funny. I'm just thinking about some of the things people told me.
It's okay.
Yeah, about lots of things, about relationships, about people they were dating or seeing, about sex, about parents, about wanting to run away, even about before it was open like it was now, about feeling awkward about their gender, like all types of stuff. And I just remained open-minded and learned how to be a good listener. And so as a result, I've had a lot of people, and this wasn't planned, it just happened, and I just kept my heart open. A lot of people have come to me with their situations, to just vent and to maybe get a positive word or an encouraging word, and I've offered it. And that that taught me a lot too, because especially for men and boys, but I say men because that resonates a little louder. um, men, it's assumed that men don't go through like a lot of things, or like that stress doesn't affect men the way we think it does, or they just brush it
Mm,
off. Well, you just be the man, just man up, you know. Um,
yeah.
and part of the bad thing about that is like I've had um I've had guys come to me to tell me like that they were molested or like assaulted by people in their family or people that they
Mm,
knew, and how ashamed they were about it, and how vulnerable they felt, and obviously how angry they felt. But that's a very, very tough thing to admit because of the way the construct is about being a man, especially in the Black and Brown community. And I'm thankful that I was on the path of being a receptive heart to so many people who needed it, because without telling other people's business, I was able to say, so like I remember a young man specifically who came to me with that experience, and he was like, he didn't even understand like how he was supposed to grow from that and be a man after that. And I was able to tell him that, I happen to know a grown man who, at the time, he had just transitioned out of being a gangbanger, and he was like very prominent in the gang that he was in. So he was very about that life. Went to prison for a long time and everything. And that he had told me that that happened to him. And so I was able to say like he's one of the roughest, toughest, most macho, hardened, been to prison, about that life, been in the street, all types of things on his record. And that happened to him. And he was able to tell me about it. And he is seen as such a man. So there is nothing about that that can reduce you and who you are, not just as a man, but as a person. And I'm so thankful I was able to help him through that with that example, because it wouldn't have been enough for me to just talk to him and tell him like he needed to know that other men had gone through that, and were on their path to still being upstanding and achieving whatever they wanted to in life, and having something positive to come out to on the other side. So, but yeah, so I ran this book. It's gonna come out, and it's big because also we don't talk about mental health that much at all in hip hop. It's getting better. I know Dougie Fresh has a new thing, I think a big initiative now for mental health. Chuck D's been talking about it. Chuck D has a union now, and they're doing like health initiatives within the like a hip hop union. MC Light was doing that for her collective of women in hip hop. Fresh Boulder So Deaf and Hip Hop Education Center has a few things. So it's getting better, but we don't get that, especially a lot from women, female rappers. We don't get to hear stories or things from them, and we definitely don't get to hear about like things they struggled with. Um, so the book is a big deal for me. It means a lot, and I can't wait till it's announced because I can't say too much, but y'all gonna be like, "Oh snap!"
yeah, I understand. How do you personally deal like with mental issues, if anything?
Yeah, that toolbox is everything. It's because triggers happen. They
Right.
can happen any day, any time of day, multiple times a day. You could be having a great day, week, few weeks, and then some little thing, some little word, some sight, some
Yeah.
sound will just bring you to some other place.
Right.
Um, and so I have a toolbox that I go into mentally of like coping mechanisms, but also you learn to be proactive and preventive about things, stopping things before they could even start. So now I understand like there's certain types of content I just don't consume. I just don't tap in. Um, I just don't even let that energy in. There's certain types of events I just don't go to anymore. There's certain people I just don't associate with no more. Um, If I'm feeling something in my gut about a person, place, or thing, I listen. I listen. I really listen. Um, I have a morning routine or a wake up routine, and I do my best to not log into social media, not jump into work, not do anything until that wake up routine is done, and that is like me feeding myself, preparing my body, uh, loosening up any knots or things that might have happened overnight, getting the blood flowing, drink a lot of water. Wrestling has helped a lot, especially because even before the pandemic happened, but also with the pandemic, like not being able to do shows, not being in groups, dance is a huge part of my life. So not being able to be in a class or just dance, or at the time having the space to dance, I started getting like a physical depression. I didn't know it at the time, but I felt it. I think a lot of people may not realize that happens sometimes. That you're all good up here, but your body is going through stuff and you're feeling it. So stretching has become a daily thing every day. Like just like you said, I've been doing yoga at least like 10 minutes a day every day for years. Now to the point where if I don't do it, my body's like, yo, what you doing? You need
Yeah.
this. So stretching every day, and then now I do like foam rolling and different things. It definitely helps because wrestling is no joke on the body. It is no joke.
How,
But
how you guys how you guys started doing wrestling? Like, I was curious with
yeah,
that.
I had wanted to because I'm a lifelong fan. I'm a lifelong fan of wrestling. And I'm a believer in how you do one thing is how you do all things. So just like I'm a music head and I'm a pro wrestling head. So now it's like I don't just watch tape of like Bret Hart is one of my favorite wrestlers. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect is one of my favorite. I don't just watch tape of like him and Piper and stuff. I'm like a Jack Briscoe head. I'm like a Dr. Jerry Graham head. I'm like superstar Billy Graham head. I'm like, you know, pre Bob Backlund. Like I go back. I watch black and white footage of wrestling in black and white and brown and white. Like that stuff
Yeah,
is
I probably don't ever. Nah, I probably
yeah,
I think that's before my time.
it
Like
is.
not to cut you off,
No,
but
you good.
I only think I probably like Hulk Hogan,
Yeah,
Roddy Piper,
you kids, you
and
young kids in the
Junkyard Dog,
yeah, Junkyard
and
Dog.
yeah, I wasn't like I wasn't like really into wrestling like that. Like I
Mm-hmm.
probably looked at, I probably was in my front house and I would look at The Rock. It is the '90s and
Right.
Mankind and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
Attitude Era. Yeah.
That yeah, I wasn't like a wrestling, like really into wrestling like too heavily like that. I think I like like friends influenced me, like like
Yeah.
schoolmates like influenced me to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but but over the years, I kind of looked at wrestling in a type of different way. Um,
Mm.
but do you pay attention to women wrestlers like Jade Cagell?
Oh yeah. Jay Carter. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I'm hoping she decides. I mean, she doesn't have to. It's
yeah.
not like she's desperate for the bag. She'll be good, but I'm hoping that she decides to stay in wrestling and continue improving and advancing in it. Because she could do a lot of great things and can continue to bring a lot of eyes who are not into wrestling into it, and a lot of fans who left it to come back. But yeah, I pay attention to all of that stuff from way back when to now. And like I said, I was a lifelong fan. I had wanted to do it for a long time, but didn't have the means and the opportunity to actually train. And then I started football and all that stuff. But a year and change ago, I was in North Carolina, and I was deciding that I was going to move back to New York. And I said, when I move back, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do this. Um, and well, actually, I said I'm going to do something I really love. And that's not usual and not normal as much. Um, and I chose pro wrestling to do it finally. And I found, fortunately, Johnny Rodz, WWE Hall of Famer Johnny Rodz, the unpredictable one, who had his own club, wrestling club in Brooklyn at the world famous Gleason's Boxing Gym. There's about 5 rings in there, and then there's one special ring that is for wrestling only, and that is our ring. And I'm very grateful to Bruce Silverglade, who owns Gleason's, and to our whole training community at Gleason's and our club, because it has been a wild. I've never done anything. I've done tackle football. I've done musical theater. I've done battle rap. I've done regular rap and music. I've done boxing, but pro wrestling is all those things, and also like nothing else in the world. It is completely unique on my body physically. Like, thank God I did all that stuff before, because I'm that much more prepared, but there's still nothing like being in the ring and actually having a match, and then actually having a match in front of people and like doing shows live. Nothing like it. But for me, it makes so much sense. It's the amalgamation of everything I am: athletic, artistic, creative, entertaining, philosophical, psychological. It's everything. And I'm really happy that I'm not only having a good time, but I'm actually good at this, y'all. I can't wait for y'all to see me.
Yeah, a while back, like months ago, I kind of interviewed a young lady. Her name is Jennifer Thomas, and she was a wrestler. She went to wrestling camp, and then she became like a exotic wrestler. She do wrestling sessions and stuff. Yeah, she do that type of stuff. She do that type of stuff. Like she will wrestle men and stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
like you never went to wrestling camp though, like
I never went
that.
to it. I would have loved to. Never got the
Yeah,
chance.
yeah.
We
That
wrestle
that's
men.
yeah,
It's only 2 of us. Shout to Jada Rose. It's been only 2 girls for a minute now. So I mean, we wrestle each other, but most of the time we're wrestling guys of all sizes and shapes. So,
yeah.
but that's good. And
There's
people tell me
men.
that I kind
Oh,
of wrestle like a man anyway. So hope
there's
that's a
men
compliment.
that. Nah, I mean, there's men that like wrestling, that like getting beat up by women, like wrestling. Like, I don't know if you ever seen like exotic tapes and stuff like that, exotic wrestling and stuff. You know, yesterday I went to like a place, and it's called Velvet Row, and they do like some exotic stuff, and like sometimes the women wrestle women, sometimes the women wrestle men, stuff like that. They have all type of stuff,
There's
new
something for
wrestling, and yeah, it's a bit freaky, but they have, but anyway, I was, you know I was like interviewing this with, like, not just her, but I had an interest of female, you know wrestling sessions and stuff like that. So you know um I
more power
was
to you.
interviewing her, and this other person, her name was Lexi Ard, and they got into it, and because a means of financial thing, and so yeah.
I'm mad at that.
um all rage George Page, he says Jade should fight for the AEW women's title.
I hope they do something, man. I hope they do something.
You
I love Magnum TA. Yeah,
Yeah,
Flair. You know what's crazy? Flair, I have been a big Ric Flair fan for the longest, and I don't know why it took me this long, but I recently stumbled upon Nick Bockwinkel promos and like old footage, and I'm like, I thought Flair was nice. Like, first of all, Nick, if it wasn't for Nick Bockwinkel, Flair couldn't be Flair, because Nick opened the doors for the intelligent heel, the well spoken heel. He's not screaming like Flair. He's not like going through
yeah,
to 100 like Flair, but he's going in on all his stuff, and then he backs it up in the ring, and I'm just like,
How old was this?
this was let me see. This is probably like right before Flair came in. Bockwinkel is, I think he's AWA, and Bobby Heenan was his manager for a long time, so it's not crazy.
Oh yeah, okay, Bobby Heenan.
Yeah, but
Bobby
he's
the Brain Heenan. Yeah,
friend, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You got my boy Rolando G.
Oh
Rest in
man,
peace, Prodigy of Mobb
I
Deep.
love
One of my favorites died due to negligence.
I love Prodigy so
And
much. I actually opened the
said,
book talking about Mobb Deep. Oh wait, can you bring that back? What you said? Okay. Yeah, and Capone Noriega. Yeah, it's so trippy seeing Nori like doing drink champs and everything. Cause yeah, that was CNN for a lot of us. He was CNN. But yeah, I'm a big Mobb Deep fan. Big Mobb Deep fan. I had a whole Wu-Tang era too, like you was talking about before. My first boyfriend was a huge Wu-Tang head, and I say that to say I got into, like, it developed after him, but he was definitely the inspiration. I can't cut him out of that. But that was like not just the Wu-Tang album, not just 36 Chambers, not just not just the group albums. I'm talking about the individual members' albums, and not just Supreme Clientele, not just Method Man stuff, not just ODB stuff. I'm talking about Jizza albums. I'm talking about Inspector Deck, Master Killer albums, Wu-Tang books, playing more chess because Wu-Tang's got me on more chess, getting more into martial arts because Wu-Tang's got me more into martial arts, getting deeper into philosophy. Like, I got so deep into stuff off of Wu-Tang. But that too is also like why I'm motivated to keep going, because it's like you can rap, everybody raps, sure, but like you could also, like, if you come with something more to offer the culture through your raps, like that could be dope. You could do so many things, and that's a constant reminder of, like, in life we could do so many things here. Like, we should all be having a great time right now, like the way it's set up, and how plentiful the earth is, how diverse nature is. Like, we should be having a great time and be living it up. And I'm just encouraged that, like, no matter everything I've been through, that especially with the things that I love to do, I can create and do and experience a bunch of great stuff, and create that good time and bring a whole bunch of people in to have a great time with me too, and sharing their great time. So I'm just encouraged.
so you like a digital producer? Like, what do you produce? Like, what kind of do you make your own beats and stuff?
So yeah, not yet. I'm in the middle of resetting my home studio situation, because I was in a studio before the pandemic, and actually all the studios I worked out of have all undergone changes. That's another topic too. So many legendary studios and music hubs in New York. I'm sure it happened in other places too, but like in New York have shut down since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Really, really sad. But yeah, so I'm still I gotta get some new equipment and new softwares together, but I'm really looking forward to making my own beats and putting my own instrumentation together. I've been a producer for I was co-producer on something called Boom Bap. um I'm sorry, I just totally blanked out on the name. How could I blank out? Boom Bap. Wow, I just blanked out on the name, but it was
It's all good.
public access show, and on live streaming on YouTube, all about hip hop culture and documenting things going on. And we the founder, his name is MC1. He had also gone around interviewing like legends in writing, or we say graffiti, but they call themselves writers. Um, and he's from Brooklyn actually, and so there's actually a whole history of writing and graffiti in Brooklyn specifically that's really deep and really rich. And he was going around documenting that, and I found that really dope because also the whole story of hip hop was born in the Bronx, and then it spread out to the five boroughs, and then the rest of the world. Like, that story it leaves so much out. It leaves so much out. There was actually so much going on in the other boroughs at the same time. Stuff was going on in the Bronx, and there's so many people that make up that story. So that was one of the reasons why I love being on that show, is to be able to flesh out that story even more, and also highlight the people who are still doing boom bap rap and dope rap today, and still doing music videos and stuff. So I was a producer on that show, to the point where I was like not only editing the videos and the interviews and putting the packages together and making the credits, and putting the logos on, but I was actually running the footage at the time, to the TV station and logging it in to set it up. And then we were filming on Rap is Out of Control for a while, for like 2 years. I think I was on there at Sirius XM Shade 45, hosted by DJ Eclipse and DJ Riz, what up? And Kyle, what up? So we were up there filming. So I was up there a lot of times carrying the whole camera bag up there by myself, setting everything up, fixing all the lights, getting everything together, and filming interviews, filming freestyles, filming the DJs cut in, taking it back, editing that, getting it to them for them to roll out, taking the pictures every week, and they roll out content every week. I was doing that. I worked for NBC for a while in news archives as an editor and a technical coordinator, and then a production assistant for Paramount, which is their streaming service now. But Paramount is Viacom CBS. It's NFL, BET, VH1, Comedy Central. So yeah, I've had my hands. I've been behind the scenes, and I like that, you know.
Yeah, I used to work for this company. It was called Epic Times, and it was like it's syndicated and stuff like that. And there's this other company. It's called NTV, New Tongue Dynasty and stuff. But I mostly worked at Epic Times, and it would like kind of have like Chinese content, because they they do crazy stuff in China and stuff,
Yes, they
persecute
do.
people for their religious, and stuff. So I was working there for like 4 years and stuff. I just distributed papers. That's all. But I
Me
did
too.
like I did IT and all that. I did a little bit of IT. A friend of
No, that's
mine, he helped me out doing IT a bit,
yeah.
but I was doing like various things and stuff. But mostly it was distribution and a little bit of IT and
No,
stuff.
yeah.
So
Now being in the room is a big deal. Being in the room where
so
things happen is a big deal.
do you work at media now, or
Yeah, I'm still
okay?
currently at Paramount. Yep.
Oh, okay, that's dope. That's dope. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
So you mostly do the editing, or just
Now
help?
now I'm mostly an archivist and help them with their media management arm. So I'm inside of, there's a creative marketing department, and then there's media management, and I'm the person inside media management, uh, archiving all the things: video, stills, social campaigns. So the great thing about that is that I get to see like everything that the company touches, and see how they do stuff and how the content looks. And when we have our big meetings, I get to see like when the Super Bowl was coming up, I got to see like what the ads they were gonna do at the Super Bowl before they came out, and when movies roll out and different things and campaigns, I get to get the behind the scenes look at what's going on, and that's really inspiring and empowering for me, even as a hip hop artist. To see how it's done, see how a number one like company in the world does their art, basically. So I
Oh.
like grateful
You
for that.
never like try to work like in a like a Hot 97 or a radio company, but hip
Yeah,
hop media or something like that.
I did. Yeah, I was actually I was a web writer for Funkmaster Flex for like
Oh
6 months.
yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
definitely gonna when I do the follow up book to this first, so I think I'm definitely gonna talk about that. But yeah, that was technically an internship, and it was kind of the only one I ever did, because I never had like the traditional path that you're supposed to have. Like college and intern. It didn't happen like that for me, but I happened to get that, and I was working side by side with my brother Eric Scantleberry, who's doing wonderful things in the music industry now. And we had to, at first they sat us at one big desk, and Tat is his like digital director, and Tat would say like, okay, we need these kind of stories, but then we just also need content, so find it and bring it to me, and if it's good, write it and I'll check it. And we went through like a little bit of SEO training, and then we were off to the races, and we would just sit there for hours just writing and getting stuff together, printing articles. I have a lot of them still up on my if you go in, and whenever you tap my Linktree link, or like whatever link in bio I have on any platform, there's a button that says stories, reels, and writings, and in that it pulls up like a whole portfolio that I have, and I put some of my stories up there. Like I was just thinking the other day, I was like, damn, I just heard Kanye talking about what he wanted to do with the Gap still to this day after Louis and everything. And I was like, damn, I wrote about Kanye wanting to do stuff with the Gap like 5 years ago. I should probably move that up in my thing. So yeah, I'm really glad that I got to do that. And I remember I had an article about this underground rapper that wrote, he released, I think it was 247 was the number, 247 albums in 1 year. In 1 year, which is ridiculous. Were they good? I ain't say that. I just say he put out 240. But that was a wonderful time, and I remember writing about random things like chemicals in donuts and stuff like that, but also about Jay Electronica, about Beyonce, about Nicki, about Slick Rick, and things he had to say about hip hop at the time. So yeah, that was why I never met him face to face on Flex I'm talking about, but I got moved to like do an overnight shift for that whole situation, and like man the so I was on from like 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. something like that. And I'd be the only one on, which is crazy. But so one night they would hit me up to like, we need this. And one night they called me and he was like, yeah, Flex says we need this article on something that was going on with Love and Hip Hop, and we need it like ASAP. And I heard him in the background go, yeah, tell her we need that like now. And I was like, oh my God, is he yelling at me? And he started yelling from the background, like, tell her that. He was joking, but he was also dead ass. So it was actually awesome. Yeah, I got yelled at by Flex. That was awesome. That's like a hip hop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what other stuff I didn't touch? I know I touched. I know. Nah, it's all good. You said a lot, and it's cool. I mean, you touched a lot of things. You touched about mental health. We talked about wrestling. We talked about your producing. You talked about your job at Paramount Stream and the other media where you worked at Funk for Flex. Something that came in my mind. What was it like when you first started like performing for people and stuff like that? Like, and when did you complete your album, the whole album and stuff that you worked on?
Yes, I did complete the album. There's big news about that, so I'm sorry I can't say much about that either. But it is
All right.
complete, and it is in very good hands. And I cannot wait for y'all to hear. I can't. You're gonna be like, what? It's some special people on that album. It's not many at all, but there's some special people on that album. And yeah, so that's gonna be released. And how did I feel when I first started performing, like in
Right.
music or wrestling?
Right. Music. Both. I mean, you could talk about wrestling and or music. It, you
Yeah,
should do first talk about music, then you can go to wrestling.
okay. Yeah, music was I was ready because I had been dancing since a little child. And I was in a dance company when I was still like single digit years old, and it was a lot of people in that group, but still, you get dressed and there's a whole thing, there's rehearsals, and so I was kind of like buried in it, but I had kind of had the bug of like what it's like to be out there and to like for lack of better words, like catch a Holy Ghost, if you will, like to get in that energy, that next gear of like, I'm not in my regular skin everyday living right now. I'm on a stage and I'm performing. It's almost like an out of body experience. So that was getting me ready, because when I went into the group that was doing basically like a show a week, that was wild, because now I got a mic in my hand. And it's not the same as being in a cipher, because now I have a mic in my hand. There's a track or music playing that I have to be in time with. There's things I have to mind on stage. There's blocking. There's a monitor for me to hear myself. Maybe sometimes I can't hear myself, so you have to go off your talent. Being in the choirs too, like you have to learn how to listen, have a good ear so that you can blend, so that you can harmonize. And it's like, I think I heard Beyonce say, performing is the reward for everything that we do. And that's the attitude I took. It's like, people don't see how much sweat you drip when you're off the camera, how much you're practicing, how much you're training. For some of us, because some people don't do that, and that's not a judgment. Some people just don't, or some people never had the guidance to train, or some people just don't have the willingness to practice. They're just not about that. And if they do, it's half-assed, or it's only for a little bit. For some people, that's life. Training is life. Practice is life. You're always researching. You're always looking into the next exercise. You're always revisiting the exercise you already did. You're always listening back to the last thing you did. That's me. I'm one of those people. So when I did first get out there, it was nerve-wracking a little bit, just because there's so many moving parts. But it was freeing as heck for me. It was awesome. I love it so much, and that's why the pandemic really hurt for a lot, because I didn't realize how much being able to connect with people through the stage and through culture really lifted me and lifted my spirits. So I'm really happy that like the brother George said, to take my time and pace myself. Like, yeah, that's where I am now, because I'm in everything for the long game. You know, Johnny, our trainer in wrestling, he talks about like having a job for life. Like, that's the type of stuff I'm on, you know, where you're just so valuable, you know, because of who you are and the way you do things and how you treat people and how people respond to you and engage with you, and what you offer and bring people, that there's just always something for you. And yeah, I have a lot of faith in that. Hope I answered the question.
No, that's good. I mean, do you like for wrestling? Like, where do you see that? How far do you see that? Like in terms of like pro wrestling, or
Oh yeah,
like
we're going
yeah.
pro, baby. Are we going?
Oh, okay.
Are we going?
Like,
It's just,
what's the process of that though? Like, is it like, would you say it's like the NBA? Like it's like tryouts, and because I remember I read a book about this woman. She was interested. She was called the Black Widow, and she was interested in being a wrestler. And so she went to like wrestling camp and stuff. She was wrestling with the best. I never finished reading the book, but it's at the library at times. I see it.
I would love to
But
read that. Let me know.
yeah, she was like she was into wrestling, and she went to wrestling camp, and she would fight like the men mostly, and they would teach her wrestling moves and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
do
the crazy
so.
thing is that now there's no formula for how you get into the business and how
Yeah,
you get to the pro level. And now that, like, I mean, the WWE just had a big merger with UFC, so the business is going to change again. Who knows what it's going to look like in 2 to 3 years, let alone 5 and 10 and 50. But now with us having at the highest level WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and so many offshoots. Wow, there's some that's Women of Wrestling. There's so many offshoots. There's so many places to get in, but how it can happen is you can audition in some places. You can send in tapes and put in applications, and it gets reviewed, and you maybe get called in for a tryout match, and they look at you over there and they say yay or nay. With the WWE, they have their NXT brand. They have their it was strictly developmental, but now it's kind of become their like public developmental in NXT. But they have their performance center, which is down in Orlando, Florida, I think it is. Um, so people who are accepted into the company are trained there and can develop there, and also people who are already in established also come there and continue to train and also teach. Um, so you can also find yourself there and then get opportunities to not just be on TV anyway, because NXT is already broadcasted globally, but get called up, as they say, and move from the developmental roster to the main roster, which we've seen happen more and more in the past few years, and that's really encouraging. You could also just be scouted while you're doing whatever you're doing on the indie scene, or with because of who you're training with, or a lot of times, like anything, maybe you have a large social media following and it gets out that you like wrestling, and that happens. And then obviously we also have the celebrities who are doing that and coming in. So it can happen in a number of ways.
So, well, how's your workout training and stuff like like you can walk me through the process of you wrestling. Like, do you like weight train or do you like how
Yeah.
many days a week type of thing?
Yeah, so I just it's been a couple months now, but I remember I celebrated with myself that I had made 100 days of pro wrestling training, and I was just so proud of myself, especially because when I early on into my training, I had a really bad concussion and skull injury that was really scary. But
Oh,
I'm very thankful it happened because it changed my life. Wrestling was already changing my life, but that incident and injury changed my life even more and made me dig into health and wellness, and how I'm training even more and better and more effectively. So it was actually a blessing in disguise. Um, but so I was looking back on that 100 days, and so so I was out like 3.5 months because of that injury. So out of that year, it was still only just grazing 100. But if we have the 365 days of the year, so I was inside of the ring 100 days out of that, or to that scale maybe 120 out of that, and then the other 2/3 of the year I'm in the regular gym lifting, doing hit
yeah.
workouts, cross training, doing the yoga, doing the mobility. So yeah, so I train in the ring 2 to 3 days a week, and then I'm lifting weights and cross training 2 to 3 days a week. Yeah, and I definitely have like one rest day a week, heavily in quotes, but it needs to be a rest day. But that's I have definitely one solid rest day. I should have two. Sometimes it doesn't work out like that. But I'm definitely minding my paces with that, because that's the biggest thing I learned out of that incident was like you can't rush this, and this is a serious sport, and you need to respect your body, and you need to rest and recovery is just as important to training as lifting weights and actually working on your ring technique. So I've learned that now, getting better with that.
Okay. Well, I wish you good luck on that. Because I mean, you do a lot. You rap, you do working on your album. You're also your producer, and you're like I would say a Michelangelo, a female Michelangelo. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci,
Thank you.
because he did like, yeah, he did like all. If you know about him, he invented the flying
Kind of,
machine and all this other stuff. So
mathematics, yeah, art, yeah,
yeah,
great.
yeah. Hope you get good. I mean, I hope you can just be consistent or whatever you do. For the
Yeah,
best.
thank you
So I
so
mean,
much.
I could play. Yeah, I could play like one of the reels that.
Damn, been so much going on, feeling the need for balance. Periodic unplug, detach, my phone on silent, over flooded with hot streams of social challenge. The propaganda salad, opportunism, and emotional violence. It's a time for endings and
Still shine like juvenile molars, just rhyme setting rollers. Pump African luxury fuel and General Motors. Got the nerve to make all these lists with no women, they joking. Half these niggas ain't half a million, so half of them quoting. From John Wick to Chadwick, yo, my bowls Monero. It's heavily trained panthers and habitat with lethargic cattle. Harlem rep diplomat. I don't know, I dispense keys, make infinite dicks king size. I dress killer, they hoping that I don't call canine. It's independently dope knowledge and equity driven chaos ingeniously knee deep. You're funky. Yo, if a girl rap, snap the synapse, she's spitting facts with a true match. A beauty attract, mental attack, a pen and pads, her hands were rotten detached. Bodily functions prolapse. Now would you praise to degrade, cause she magnify what you lack. Don't know a baby girl's audacity, son.
Guess the woman's scorn.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was pretty dope. Oh, so you worked with Pharrell Monarch and you did a song with J. Rule the Damager.
No, that was a cover of J. Rule the Damager. He's heard it. He commented
Oh,
on it. Thank you. Um,
okay.
yeah, so but we could speak that into existence. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love J. Rule.
Yeah, I mean, he's a dope rapper, man. Like back in the days, you know,
I did the
he was
cover.
he was definitely like Black Power, 5 percenters and all that stuff. God body,
Mm.
yeah. So
Whole chapter too in hip hop, yeah. And
yeah,
he
so I'm
also was go ahead, sorry.
no, no. I was no. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say he was another one who was, bringing the Eastern philosophy and martial arts and higher minded consciousness stuff, like in the same way Wu Tang was, but different. He was also
Yeah,
doing.
yeah. So I mean, do you have like any departing words for the listeners, the viewers, or anything?
I just want to thank y'all so much for your eyes and ears and hearts and comments and tuning in and telling somebody about Emma Lee M.C. and a future thank you for tapping in with my book and my album and a wrestling event here too, maybe. But just I hope that I can give you something that uplifts your life, because everything I do certainly uplifts mine, and I can only hope to return the favor creatively. So thank y'all. Stay
No,
well.
I appreciate. I really appreciate you taking the time and telling your story and the process of your wrestling endeavors and your hip hop endeavors. So, um, yeah, like good luck to you. I mean, like, is there other ways for like somebody can support you? Um,
Yeah, just tap into that link in bio, my link tree. You can find it on any platform. I'm at Amelia is Emma or at Amelia is Emily, basically on everything. Or you could just type in Emily M.C. anywhere and my information will come up. My email is out there. Feel free to drop me a line. Yeah, we're ready to go. So any type of opportunity or something that it may not even be music, it may just be the mental health part. If you have something that you'd be interested, I'm absolutely down to help and see where we can do fruitful things. But yeah, I
uh,
can't wait for more stuff.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Take
All
care.
right.
Take care of yourself.
All
Take
right,
care of
folks.
yourself.
So wrap. Thanks again, Emma.
Thank you.
All right. All right.